Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Janson washed Panamanian Geisha from Manhattan Coffee Roasters. And there's the bag right there. And Manhattan, based out of Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and they're a coffee roaster we feature pretty regularly on this channel, as since the first time we tried them last year. They've been one of our favorite coffee roasters in the entire world. Panamanian Geishas are our favorite coffee in the entire world, so it seemed like a match made in heaven on this one. This right here is going to be the first of quite a few European coffee reviews we have coming up, including some more Manhattan coffees that will also include some of their world-class offerings. So we're super excited to bring you all of that. We're here to discuss this Janson today though, so let's start discussing it. This right here is day, funny enough, 31 of this coffee. All right, and we do have a recipe for Manhattan, and it's typically between 16 to 1 and 16.5 to 1 water to coffee ratio. We liked the 16.5 to 1 a little better on this coffee. It was brewed at 208 degrees Fahrenheit through the Chemex. Also tried the V60, preferred the Chemex for this one as well. And this is a light European for the roast profile. With that out of the way, let's start discussing this coffee itself. And day 11, first time trying it, first impression. As you'd imagine, very geisha-like, very delicate cup of coffee. Very soft geisha components, including some soft florals, most notably this purple and citrus orange blossom, as well as some lemon and a very tea-like body. And this is where we have to get a very important piece of information out of the way for this coffee. This was the first time we tried it day 11, and we couldn't help but notice that there was something wrong with the brewing process, and this will be a theme, a very important theme throughout this video. The coffee had almost no bloom, as if this coffee was very old. So when you go and try to brew a coffee that's maybe 2-3 months older or so, there's no gas left in the coffee. It draws down almost immediately, and that's pretty much what happened with this coffee. So I can't help but feel there was something wrong probably during the transition of this coffee from Rotterdam to LA, because we ordered it from Dayglow to us. And as a result, this coffee wasn't all it could have been. We probably only got 70 to 80% of the potential of this coffee, which was a little frustrating, as this coffee definitely had some very high potential. That's really important to get out of the way because we feel it did impact this review pretty heavily. All right, going back, day 13. Again, soft floral components, mostly purple florals, light-bodied, pretty traditional. And here's what happened with this coffee was, it was very consistent throughout these. Weren't getting too much other things from it. Day 14 got that slight kind of cereal component we can get from a lot of Panamanian Geishas in this coffee, but mostly lemons, florals, still the way the coffee was finishing. Day 17, we have the most notes we wrote for any of these days, and it says, very clean cup of coffee, nothing too outside of the norm, deliciously light, tame lemon with some very notable purple florals in a very pleasant finish. As you can see, it was still pretty much the same as the other days, and here on day 31, it's actually quite nice, and we did fiddle around with the recipe ever so slightly, so this is even 16.67 to 1, and that's pretty nice. And day 20, absolutely love this coffee. Actually, this is worth noting. When the coffee has cooled down to a room temperature, it does taste a lot better than we were experiencing, obviously, as it was at its warmer temperatures. With some coffees, that's very much the case. It's very much the case with this coffee in our experience. There were some slight herbal components to the coffee as it had cooled down as well, and that became a little bit of a theme in the later days, 2021 and 23, 25. Just some very slight herbal components to it as well, which, I mean, when you think about it, tea can be pretty herbal, and light-bodied tea, very, very tea-like coffee. And day 21, pretty much the same notes. We kind of stopped taking notes after day 21. We had it, I mean, we portioned this so we could try it quite a few times on quite a few days, but as you can see, it was a very consistent coffee throughout. Some slight changes here and there, but for the most part, pretty normal, pretty geisha-like cup of coffee. All right, let's go ahead and put up the tasting wheel so you can see what we were getting. And for me, I've already mentioned that this coffee was like 70 to 80% what it could have been. So I wonder if I would have gotten the full experience. The florals might have been a level 5, the citrus fruit might have been a level 5, and the cleanliness might have been a level 5, but that just was not the case from what we were experiencing. Florals, still pretty high, level 4 on this day, probably a little generous, probably more towards a level 3. Citrus fruit, level 4, probably in line. Cleanliness, you know, it's acting pretty nice today, so would consider like a 4.5, but still probably leaning a little bit more towards the 4. Savoriness, that slight herbal component. A slight bit of chocolate we were getting from time to time. That's still somewhat present here. Spice, again, the herbal component in this coffee. Not the sweetest, not as sweet as we might have hoped for or expected, but again, can be attributed to this kind of issue we were having with the coffee. We did try to remedy the issue. We did try a finer grind. We did try different temperatures, but at the same time, it really didn't impact. It just felt like this coffee just had something wrong with it from the start. But yeah, tasting wheel for the most part looks pretty good. Yeah, nothing too much more worth noting on that tasting wheel. All right, so our overall thoughts and impressions of this coffee. It seems like we were just kind of trying to find a good way to explain that it was still, this is a geisha, and it tastes like a geisha, and while our expectations were sky high and through the roof, it still did very much meet them, but we were kind of hoping for something that might have surpassed those expectations, and it just basically met them, and that can probably be attributed to the fact that there was some issue with this coffee. So we enjoyed it. It's a very good, if you're needing a geisha, it's a very good deal, as it's, I believe, only 21 euros on Manhattan's website, so kind of hate using this term, but that's kind of the way we felt about it. It's a great budget geisha. You get your geisha, you get it at a good price, it very much will act like a geisha, and it'll be a very enjoyable cup of coffee, even if it wasn't anything that had blown us away in this Manhattan coffee. Type of person we would suggest this coffee to, quite a few people still. As anybody that does enjoy their geishas, we very much enjoyed this coffee. We know you would enjoy this coffee as well, as it gives you that very traditional, normal geisha, everything you could expect from a geisha, and it comes at a pretty solid price. For those that might not be familiar with too many geisha coffees, this is a great kind of introductory in the sense that you'll get all the experience you want, the light body, the florals, the citrus, just overall pretty solid cup of coffee, if not spectacular for us. But I think we're going to leave it at that. If you've by chance tried the Janson, we'd love to know your thoughts and opinions of it as well. If you're enjoying the content, give this video a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But this right here has been a review of the Janson washed Panamanian Geisha from Manhattan Coffee. Thank you for watching.